It's like early in the morning. Hello beautiful creatures, so here's a quick update, and actually it's not just an update, it's kind of a reveal, or I don't know what the heck to call it. So basically I just want to tell you guys what would have happened if we were able to film Deep Blue Mermaid, and what did happen. Let me think. Okay, so the one who played Winda, we know who she is. We're just like, okay, get out my face, I don't care. And then Winda, or what's her name again? Catalina, that's her real name, or Cat, has a friend named Liv, and Liv and about that mermaid life, she's like, that's not the life for me, I don't want to be a mermaid. But Catalina's like, oh my gosh, she doesn't know what she's missing, it's totally going to be fun. So basically, she steals a spell that, that Leah's great-grandmother gave her, and it was a spell originally to turn a mermaid back into a human. Catalina was meant to be a mermaid. Her great-grandmother was a mermaid, and she is meant to be a mermaid. She is a mermaid, she just isn't one yet. She has the gene in her to be a mermaid, but it kind of occurs like at a certain age, at a certain time, and her time hasn't come yet, kind of like puberty. So she hasn't hit her mermaid puberty yet. She steals the spell because she thinks that the spell will help her make her into a mermaid, but because she was already a mermaid, that spell just took away her mermaidness, and now she'll like never be a mermaid. Now she'll never be a mermaid. But Liv does turn into a mermaid. And the third episode, basically Liv explains to her, to Leah, the reason why she doesn't want to be a mermaid. She doesn't want to be a freak. She feels like she's already a freak. She doesn't like the water because she almost drowned, but something saved her. AKA foreshadowing, it was a mermaid that saved her. Oh my gosh. Like Cat in the beginning of the 4th episode. This is the episode you guys I've never put up, so this is where the actual things that you would have missed begins. Cat comes to Leah's door and she's like, yeah, I borrowed that spell of yours, and Leah's like, hold up, wait a minute, you didn't borrow it, you stole it, you little butt face. She basically confronts her about the whole, she's still mad. Leah's still really, really mad at Catalina. She's just like, you're such a douchebag. Like, how can you just make up all that stuff? Like, you don't make sense. You're, like, psychotic. So she basically confronts her about faking a greeting ceremony. And the reason why Catalina faked a greeting ceremony is because she wanted to meet them at a certain place, and the island really was just, like, the woods. Yeah, and then Cat says, why are you a mermaid? You don't deserve to be a mermaid. He was like, oh no, she didn't. And you deserve to be a mermaid? Really? You think you actually deserve to be a mermaid? Liv walks in because Liv she's just so awkward. So she walks in on this mess, which is kind of weird. She just basically walks into Leah's house without even knocking. Oh yeah, she's like, hey Leah, do mermaids usually get rashes? And then she's like, oh, okay, you guys are here. And she notices Cat. Liv is still like really mad at Cat, and she's like, ew, what are you doing here? Then Cat's like, what are you doing here? And then Leah's like, what are you all doing here? Like, get out my house, what are you doing? And then Leah calls Cat Winda, because you know how not Leah, but Cat had that fake name, which was Winda. Cat's like, it's Cat. Literally, she just hates Cat so much. So she just tries to torture her in any way. Like, especially with messing up her name. Her name's Cat, but she's like, okay, let's go with dog. And she's like, no, it's Cat. She's like, okay, let's go with goldfish. Like, oh my gosh. So Cat says, anyways, my great-grandmother was a mermaid, so I'm meant to be one. But Miss Little Librarian over here, basically pointing to Liv, because Liv, I guess she looks like a librarian. Love you, Emily. Hi. And then Liv's like, excuse me, this chick needs to go, making a reference to the Bonquiqui video. And then Leah's like, and how do you feel about that? Like, acting like a therapist. Blah, blah, blah. This and that happens, not that important. Leah teleports them out of her house. She's like, y'all are annoying. Boom, zap, you're out of my face because I already have a migraine and you're just not making it better. So Liv and Cat come back to the house because they just want some answers. They need, this is basically like a therapy episode. They just need to get their ish together, okay? So they come back to the house, and Leah's like, ew, what are you doing here? Whatever, fine, I'll like situate things. Because I guess Leah's just like, I want to get this over with. I'm tired of dealing with you guys fighting. Just tell me what the problem is, and let's just discuss. And then Leah's like, okay, they kind of situate things a little bit, and then Leah's just final question. She's like, what do you want from me, to Cat? And Cat's like, I want a spell that will actually work and that will make me a mermaid. And And then Leah's like, okay, Liv, what do you want? And Liv's like, I want to change back into a human. Then Leah's like, okay. She writes something down, and then she goes, okay, what I found is kind of like all like therapist like. She's like, that y'all are whiny little kids that need to deal with your own problems. And then they're kind of like upset at her. And then there's a shot of the full moon rising. So Kat's like, so did we come here for you to yell at us? And then no, she's like, no, there's a full moon tonight, and since Liv's a mermaid, I thought she should know what usually goes on, and I need to test it. So basically, Leah throws water on Liv to see if Liv turns into a mermaid, and so she can kind of like help her. Okay, my sister has mac and cheese. Hold on. You have to take a saltwater bath. I know, it's weird. But then, usually remember, if there's a full moon, that they don't turn into mermaids because their magic is taken away. But with Liv, she does turn into a mermaid. Why? Because she's only a half mermaid, and they don't know why she's only a half mermaid yet, but we know. Or at least I know. And then Kat's like, kind of like, she sneaks the water, and just because Kat's like desperate to have a tail, she takes a glass of water and pours it on herself. She's like, oh, I wonder if we'll be a mermaid. Then she turns into a mermaid. Kat turns into a mermaid. What? So the reason why Kat turns into a mermaid is the full moon actually, usually it takes away our magic, but it gave Kat's magic back because she is still a mermaid, even though she did do the spell, which took away the mermaidness. But she is still a mermaid. So Leah basically was the one who realized it was only temporarily. Leah's just like a freaking genius. She's like, I know this. It's because the moon gave you your powers back, but when the moon's gone, you're not going to be a mermaid again. So, and then Kat's like, wow, I'm a mermaid, just half really. And then Kat attempts to do something, like she thinks, oh, do I have powers? And then nothing happens because she doesn't have powers and she's kind of lame. So that was the end of episode 4. That was probably one of my favorite episodes, writing it, because it was just, there's a lot of like humorous stuff.